Well, I'm Gerhard Meinecke. I come both out of the operational side in different industries, heavy metal and process, and also later on in my career in the software industry, including SAP, engineering construction branch, and also then interface companies, middleware, and then on into business process consulting and business intelligence. And currently semi-retired, but still doing some consulting. Heavy manufacturing and construction, engineering construction. Well, I kind of more came out of curiosity to see how the whole technology advances, technology usage in the engineering, construction, and plant life cycles. Also, as I forgot to say, I'm heavily involved in the process industry, how those things are coming together into what always was looked for, into making things run better, work better. So it was a general interest. The industry in general, if you take together the engineering side, the construction side, the operation side, and the operator side, what really the biggest challenge is that somehow the enabling of digitality, or what you call IT, information technology, has not been exploited even, it has been exploited at a very low percentage, because somehow the needs have not been formulated with sufficient knowledge of what could be done. So what I'm trying to say is there's a lot out there that is possible, that can be done with technology and there's curtain in it, but there has been a very low formulation of how that can be set into practical applications. I don't know, you can probably hardly say one of the most problematic. The most problematic, I would say, is the logistics during the execution of the project, optimizing logistics, which is material management, allocation of resources, communications. And then, but if you look at the total life cycle, it's the maintenance of a facility. Maintaining a facility is what makes for the operator money or doesn't make money, keeping it running as much as possible. And that probably is the most problematic because the information that could be made available out of engineering to help that, to help the people that are not necessarily having a PhD and have to try to keep it running in a form that they can use it, that is, from my opinion, the most problematic phase. And the phase means actually there are two phases. It's a linkage between the two phases, the initial design and the maintenance. First of all, they have to be known to everybody. There has to be a transparency. And that is not by accident process. That is normally not sufficiently driven and affirmed. And then there is a tendency to focus on the work rather than the structure of the work. Just to get it done, at a certain point it breaks mostly down, and then it has to be repeated and recovered and re-audited. That, I think, is a problem. But most of all, it's not sufficiently known what it is and how to achieve these standards. I would say engineering databases and logistics systems. Those are the two things. Well, first of all, decommissioning is hardly ever looked at. Okay, and I think it's nowadays a very costly factor. If decommissioning is cheap, we can build more plants. Decommission doesn't necessarily mean you tear the whole plant down, but you could probably reuse it, reformat it, restructure it to do something different. And that again, that is not looked at during the original design, that you design it in such a way that you later do something different with it. But the problem in that overall life cycle is lack of knowledge accessible, lack of knowledge, accessible in a format that is usable is useful to the particular user, is tailored for the particular user. Not too much information, right information, given at the level of understanding and need to apply that the user has. And that's a matter of, well, we call it content management, we call it access to it. The problem is both that it is not fed right, and the content is not stored right, and the way it can be accessed is still insufficient. Let's answer both. Of value to me, there is what Utopia is doing, what SORT is doing, what Open Standard O&M are doing, what ISO 15926 is doing, Tech. What surprised me, but it really maybe is not a surprise, is how little actually has happened, how small, incremental the advances have been since about 30 some years ago. It started becoming a topic. About 20 years ago, lifestyle became a topic. IT, technology enabling became a topic around that time. What probably happened is also an increase. All these things were supposed to break down silos in a project and in an enterprise. Yet somehow, because we have not been able to train enough people that can understand these things across the board, software companies, enterprise software, other companies have created not only a point solution, but within that silos. The very silos that were supposed to be broken down have been reinforced by software. And software now has become almost an impediment to, we can't exchange information from one side to the other because the way the software is structured, this one versus that one. So whereas before it was manual, handwritten, and paper, and you could just pass paper back and forth, and you could restructure, retitle it, now it is sitting in these silos, and now we're not just worried only about breaking the silos inside the process down, we're now having to fight to make sure that these products, software, within even one service, in SAP, for example, within that, they can't really, at this level, exchange with each other. Mm-hmm. And that has become, I think, the real problem. And as a surprise for me, we shouldn't be surprised, that actually, I think, rather than coming down, is growing as a problem.